Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and welcome back to a very impromptu Sentinel reviews. I wasn't even planning to do this, but I saw this 3 days ago. It's still so fresh in my mind, and it's just kind of lingering there. I need to talk about it, slash gush about it, and also I figured this would be another great opportunity for me to branch away from Doctor Who material. Today, we are going to be looking at Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. The 2022 movie that seems to be taking the world by storm. I say seems to be because my source is people's responses to it on Twitter. Anyway, let me pull up the Wikipedia real quick so I can get everything right. Sorry. Everything Everywhere All at Once was released in 2022, directed by Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, collectively known as Daniels, and it stars Michelle Yeoh, Stephanie Hsu, Ke Huy Quan, and James Hong, and also features in supporting roles Jenny Slate, Harry Shum Jr., and Jamie Lee Curtis. Now, the movie's... Hang on, sorry about that. Sorry about that again. The movie... Hang on, my microphone's just bumping into my computer screen. I'm worried that's going to cause some damage. Take 3. Now, the movie's been out for a couple months, so I am going to be discussing some spoilers. This is your only warning. Just know, I do highly recommend this movie. If you have not seen it, fix that. But also, at the same time, this is a movie you need to go in unprepared for. Like, it's better if you go in blind. It blew me away. It took me completely by surprise, and that's an experience I don't want to take away from anyone. Also, summarizing this movie is going to be incredibly difficult. Just because it's like, okay, let me say, the core premise of Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is that a woman named Evelyn Wang, played Wang, I forget how they say it, played by Michelle Yeoh, is suddenly able to experience her various alternate lives across the universe. Now, here's the thing. That summary doesn't even begin to scratch the surface. Like, honestly, the title also gives away the movie. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Like, you can't even pin this down to a specific genre. It's got comedy, it's got drama, science fiction, fantasy, it's got action, there are elements of animation. Animation isn't really a genre, it's more of a medium, but like, this movie is all over the place. It is chaotic. And I mean that as a positive. I loved this movie so much. Thinking about it right now, this might have jumped into being one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. Maybe even top 3, but I don't even know what my top 10 favorite movies of all time are, so I'm not going to even go there. But just, yeah, that movie had that much of an effect on me. It is simply amazing. Michelle Yeoh is phenomenal. All of the cast is phenomenal. Even the bit players, again, like Jenny Slate and Harry Shum Jr., they are absolutely hysterical in the small parts they have. And they even imbue a lot of heart into their roles. Jamie Lee Curtis was amazing. And she is the makeup and the costuming work done on her. She was completely unrecognizable. Like, she gets her first scene, and I was just like, is that Jamie Lee Curtis? And I had to look it up, and yes, it is. And she is phenomenal. Everything about this movie is phenomenal. Like, I say this is a review, but I'm just going to be gushing about it, really. Like, honestly, I wouldn't change any scene. I wouldn't add anything. I wouldn't take anything out. This movie is great as it is. I'm gonna stick a pin in that for right now because that's how I want to conclude this video. So going really from the supporting cast to our leads, all 4 of them are brilliant. Again, I've seen many people say that this might be the best performance of Michelle Yeoh's career. I'm not familiar enough with her work to make that claim, but of what little I have seen, I will say this is probably my favorite thing from her. Kei shoot, I'm sorry. I'm gonna look it up again because I don't want to get his name wrong. God, and my microphone is blocking the part of my screen that has the minimize and maximize button. So this is every time I do this, this is gonna be awkward. Kei Kwan is also equally brilliant, and I think honestly, as great as Michelle Yeoh is, if you aren't familiar with Michelle Yeoh, fix that. But she's an actress, a martial artist, a stunt woman. I believe she still does all her own stunts. Like, I forget what it was, and I'm not going to spend too much time trying to dwell on it. But there's apparently a very famous story about a conversation between her and I think it was Jet Li regarding their approach to stunt work. Anyway, Kei Kwan is similar. Like I said, I think is even more impressive just because he's been out of the acting game for so long. Us nerds, us geeks, will probably know Kei Kwan best for his roles as Data in The Goonies and Short Round in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I'm sorry. I believe I looked this up very briefly, so I don't know what happened. He originally retired from acting in 2002. And so it's been over 20 years. Well, it's been 20 years. And this is his first film since retirement. This is the film he came out of retirement with. And he comes and he gives off such a strong performance. You know, like, you would have think he'd never stopped acting. He was that good. And he has some of the best moments in the movie, I think, because in the main universe that everything is kind of set in, one of his character's alternate universe selves occasionally possesses his body. Oh, this is already getting confusing. And just the shift he makes, like his body changes, his posture changes, his voice changes. He puts everything into showing off his alternate, that this is his alternate self. And he does such a great job. His stunt work is so good as well. Stephanie Sue, I hope I'm saying that right. She plays Michelle Yeoh's and Kei Kwan's daughter, and she is similarly really good. And that's all I really want to say on that, because there's a lot with Stephanie Sue that I don't want to give away but wow, I totally just blanked on where I was trying to go for. Like I said, she is also similarly really good because there's this in part of the plot there's this contention between Michelle Yeoh and Stephanie Sue. They are playing a mother and daughter, and they play it off so well. And the resolution to their conflict at the end of the movie is amazing. Like, let me put it like this: the first half of the movie is amazing. The second half of the movie is phenomenal. So the movie is divided into 3 chapters. Part 1, everything. Part 2, everywhere. Part 3, all at once. Really, part 3 is just the ending and the wrap-up of the movie. So really, it's just part 1 and part 2. Part 2 is probably my favorite part of the movie. It's just where it goes the most insane and just seems to be the most random and chaotic. I say chaotic a lot, and I mean that as a good thing because, well, I said random, but it's not. This movie is actually incredibly meticulous in its chaos. Like I said earlier, wow, I'm sorry. Like I said earlier, I wouldn't add anything. I wouldn't take anything out. I wouldn't change anything. Every shot, every single frame has a meaning. Every single frame has an importance. There is a reason why everything that happens. There is a reason why every frame is there. I have never watched a movie where I've experienced that in the past, you know? Like, I have never watched a movie where it's like, well, you could have added I've always watched movies in the past and I'm like, oh, you could have added something here. Oh, that was too long. You could have taken some of that out, and I can't think of anything I would do for this movie. It's that well thought out. It's that well planned. Even the more absurd stuff that I don't think I was a fan of, it's hard to say because, I even the more absurd stuff has a purpose. Other things within the narrative. So, as I kind of mentioned in the very, very, very stripped down basic premise of the plot, Michelle Yeoh's character is able to start experiencing her lives, her alternate lifestyles across the multiverse. And as she does, she inherits their abilities. The movie calls this verse jumping, able to, what's the word? Inherit the abilities of an alternate lifestyle. So, like, in the main universe that this movie is set in, Michelle Yeoh's character owns a laundromat. In an alternate universe, she became a martial artist and later a film star and stuntwoman. And she's able to go into that multiverse and inherit the abilities of herself in that multiverse. And my sort of babbling, stumbling explanation is leading me into the point I was trying to get to. The rules for the narrative are very well set up. They're very clearly established. And everything that happens eventually, nothing breaks the rules, which is also really well done, and I have to applaud it because I've seen so many fantasy and sci-fi movies that like by the third act or something break their own rules. Throughout the entire runtime of this movie, it commits to its set of rules, which is something else I have to laud it for. And also that's where a lot of the humor comes in, because in order to verse jump, Ke Huy Quan's character explains to her, you kind of have to perform these absurd actions. It's like a statistical probability. I'm forgetting the exact wording he says, but the least likely thing you would ever do, it gives you a better chance of jumping to another multiverse, to another parallel universe. So, and that's where a lot of the comedy comes in, like to become a martial arts star. She has to tell Jamie Lee Curtis she loves her, even though for the first third of the movie, until we start getting into some of the multiverse stuff, Jamie Lee Curtis has been making her life miserable. Or, in a similar to inherit the abilities of a similar multiverse, the camera work wasn't quite clear on it, but I believe she snorts a fly up her nose, and she finds herself again in another Kung Fu universe, but where she did everything with her pinkies. And like I said, just creating those absurd instances to allow the characters to verse jump is where a lot of the comedy comes from. Like, there's a Michelle Yeoh's character. Her character's name is Evelyn. She finds other agents from other multiverses trying to stop her, and they similarly need to verse jump to inherit the abilities of their other selves across the multiverse. And the fight scene that ensues from that is absolutely hysterical. If you've seen the movie, you know exactly what fight scene I'm talking about. And I'm just laughing about it now. And I've been going on about the comedy, but the emotional beats are amazing as well. Like, again, it's something I don't want to go too deep into. I don't want to give this movie away, but this movie had me feeling things for a rock. A freaking rock. Like, or even like, there's a multiverse. There's a parallel universe. I'm probably going to be using those interchangeably, where most of the parallel universes in the multiverse are made from alternate routes. So, like in one, in the main universe, Michelle Yeoh and Ke Huy Quan got married and emigrated to America. In another universe, they didn't, and that's the universe where Michelle Yeoh became a martial artist and film star. And then there's just a multiverse, a universe where humankind took on a completely different evolutionary tract, and now everyone has hot dogs for fingers. Like I said, it seems random and chaotic, but even that has a purpose. Even that is really meticulous and well thought out. And like, I was feeling things for the people with the hot dog fingers that can shoot ketchup and mustard. The emotional beats in this movie are phenomenal. It's also got a really, like, even though it's very positive and upbeat, it's also a very scathing commentary on nihilism and why, just as a lifestyle choice or as an idealism, it doesn't work. And like, I almost broke down towards the end, like just watching the more, because the end is where the more dramatic beats start unfolding, and that's really where Stephanie Hsu and Ke Huy Quan get to shine. Like, Ke Huy Quan has this amazing monologue trying to stop everyone fighting. Like, he gets it, no one knows what's going on, everyone's terrified, and in those situations, being kind is even more important. I'm kind of welling up right now just remembering it, and I don't know if it's because the movie still kind of has a profound effect on me or if my ring light is blinding me. But yeah, just, oh, so good. So good. Oh, I almost forgot. James Hong is also really good too. Like, I only know him for his more comedic roles, like guest spots and stuff, but he plays a more serious role in this. He plays Michelle Yeoh's father. And even here, like, even he shines phenomenally. I think the directors, Daniels, really, I think this movie shows how well they work with actors, because just the performances everyone gives are so strong, and you feel everything that happens. I think it's a combination of great acting and directors who know how to work with actors and get the best possible performances out of them. There is one other thing I will say too. The editing is amazing. Just like all the camera work, for one thing, especially on the fights. Like, Ke Huy Quan's character has like the first major fight scene, and it's him beating up a bunch of security guys with a fanny pack. And there's a really impressive shot where, as he's rolling the fanny pack across the carpet, kind of like a mace or a chain flail, the camera just tracks it. It's really well done. There's a lot of great, like, most of the editing and shots are related to the multiverse stuff. Like, when Evelyn, Michelle Yeoh's character again, is first introduced into the multiverse, there's this effect of glass fracturing, and you see both herselves in two different situations, but kind of in the same space, maybe? Is that how you'd say that? I don't know. One of my favorite shots, though, as a matter of fact, is on the sci-fi action side of things. When we first meet our villain, Jobu Tupaki. So, I'm not going to give away everything, but for some reason, Jobu Tupaki can inhabit every universe in the multiverse all at once, all at the same time. Whereas others have to verse jump, Jobu Tupaki can inhabit every universe at once. And it eventually does get explained, but Jobu Tupaki is looking for Evelyn. And when Jobu Tupaki is first introduced, she has this really great scene of, trying to find, or she's trying to find the right Evelyn, I should clarify. And when she's first introduced, she has this really good scene, where she just turns her head, and I believe her finger, if I'm recalling correctly, she just turns it, and every time she does, you hear clicking. And, obviously, the entire environment around her is changing. It's like she's channel surfing the multiverse, turning the TV dial to find the right multiverse. And it's one of my favorite shots in the movie. It's so well done. Like, the editors and the cameraman and the cinematographers must have worked so hard and so tirelessly on this movie, and their work pays off. I believe, what was it? I saw this somewhere. Just because also this is a movie everyone's been comparing it to. This movie only had like a fifth of the budget that Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness had. I haven't been making that comparison because, one, like I said, everyone has been making that comparison, and two, I haven't seen Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness yet. I'm going to, eventually. I've been watching Batman 66 lately, and I think I'll watch it once I finish that. I just don't want to break my streak on that series. But yeah, no, just, again, the performances are strong. The performances are utterly phenomenal. The writing is, again, for something so chaotic, the writing is really tight and solid. Like I said, the rules for verse jumping are clearly established, and they follow them well. The characters are well developed, and each one goes through an arc, helped by very strong performances. One sec, let me open this up again. The editing is brilliant and utterly phenomenal. The color grading is really good. I know when I talk about Doctor Who, I've talked about that. You know, like, everything in this pale gray, muted color aesthetic. This movie is really colorful, and I love that. The camera work, the editing, the performances. God, I just love this movie so much. So, I'm going to end it here before I do my final things. For my own beliefs and purposes, I do not believe in perfection. Perfection, in my belief, is unobtainable. We shouldn't strive for perfection. We should strive for doing as best as we possibly can. That being said, as a human, I'm also inherently a hypocrite. And I believe, first, there have only ever been 3 perfect movies. Let me preface this too by saying I need to see a lot more movies. 12 Angry Men, the original, because there's a remake that's not as good, Jurassic Park, and The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is a perfect movie. And like I said, it's one that I recommend everybody sees. I cannot say that enough. If you do not see this movie, you are missing out. Please, go to a Redbox, go to one of your streaming platforms like Prime or whatever you have, and pay for like the 24-hour rental, or buy it if you want to. Like, I'm gonna probably buy the 4K version. Just see this movie. And speaking of, have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once? What are your thoughts on it? Please start a conversation in the comments below. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Click the bell next to subscribe to get notifications when I upload. And in the description box below, you'll find the link to my Twitter, where you can follow me and get updates on the channel. This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and I'll see you guys next time.